Okay, I'm going to walk through each page, maybe page and a half, in its own separate video. We're just going to talk about what you need to do. I am using the Kansas City Chiefs because I wanted to be able to share exactly what to do on some of this stuff without just giving away answers, right? If I had said I'm doing the Seattle Seahawks, then anyone with the Seattle Seahawks packet would have got free work done for them by Mr. Lee and wouldn't have done anything. So I picked a separate team. That way I can go all the way through some of these steps and give out answers without giving away answers. There are some things that I will just explain in the video because I want you to look through the process yourself. I won't give directly, this is how you do it. I'll just explain what it's looking for and then let you come up with a strategy to get an acceptable answer, right? But we're going to go through this pretty quick. I don't want this video to be longer than 5 minutes. Here's what we've got. This first page was just the explanation of the project. You're a sports analyst. Here's how you're getting graded. Here's how you're being assessed. Over on the right, this is the inside page of your packet, is the statistics page for the season. So what I did is I looked through for each team who their opponents were, what their record was versus each of those opponents, and I put your score first, their score second, and then whether you won or lost that game with a W or an L. And then passing yards, how far did your team throw the ball? Rushing yards, how far did your team just run with it? Turnovers, how many times did your team give the other team the ball without scoring? Passing yards, how many yards did the other team throw the ball? And rushing yards allowed, how far did the other team run the ball, right? These are very basic statistics, very basic things that an analyst would look at. They would, if it was their career, their job, they would dive much deeper into this than we are. But it's a good introductory way of seeing what they might look at. Your job on this first page and kind of the second page is to come up with totals and averages for this page. So for each of these columns, you got to tell me the total for the year. How many pass yards, how many rush yards, turnovers, pass yards allowed, rush yards allowed. It's super simple math. I'm going to pull up a calculator and start doing it so that you can see what it is. Averages are just taking your final total for each category and dividing it by how many games they played. All of your teams played 17 games, so you should divide it by 17. What it looks like, I'll walk through pass yards first. You will add together 360 plus 226 plus 257 plus 228 265 plus 319 plus 417 plus 422 plus 331 plus 22 plus 320 plus 211 plus 342 plus 313 plus 220 plus 328 plus 181. 5,062. All I did was take each of these numbers in this column here and added them together. 5,062. Pull that calculator back up. To get the average, I'm going to take this 5,062 and divide it by 17 games. Round it to the nearest yard. In this case, it is 297.7. That would round up. So we'll say they average 298 yards per game. We'll go to the next category and start this whole process over. 128 plus 93 plus 8 plus 189 plus 103 plus 60. 1970. All right, so again, all I did was add up all of these rush yards. Now to find the average, we're going to take that total, 1970, and divide it by 17 games. 115.8 would round up. We've got 116 rushing yards per game. Repeat the process for turnovers. Turnovers should be the smallest one, should be pretty easy. 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3. 23. I can remember that in my head. So we'll take that 23 and divide it by 17. They're averaging 1.3. That rounds down. So we'll say 1 turnover a game on 3. Wow, 23 turnovers in the season. We'll do it for pass yards allowed. 179 plus 326 plus 177 plus 373 plus 223 plus 318 plus 343 plus 57 plus 240 plus 250 plus 82 plus 279 plus 214 plus 125 plus 200 plus 190 plus 180. 3,756. We will take that 3,756 and divide it by 17 to get 220.9. That would round up to 221 pass yards allowed. And finally, our rush yards allowed, same process. 103 plus 75 plus 82 plus 3 plus 155 plus 125 plus 101 plus 172 plus 75 plus 115. $1,823. We will take that 1,823 and divide it by 17 and get 107.2. We'll round that down to 107. Okay. That's it for the first page. The second page is taking that. We got to move this over here. Taking that information and breaking it up. So this first table just wants you to look at the first 4 games and find totals and averages. So you'll add up the first 4 games of each of those columns, and then you'll divide it by 4. The second table here is asking you to estimate, based on your averages here or based on your totals here from 4 games, had they been able to continue at that route or at that rate, what would their estimate be? What would you predict for them to have in each of those categories? And then look back and see what was their actual in each category. Okay. At the end, there is a little bit of an explanation. You have to be specific about what you notice between the estimate from the first 4 games and the actual. So if you notice, like, hey, their passing yards was predicted to be, or we estimated it at 4,000 and it ended up being 5,000, that's a pretty big difference. So that might be something that you notice and explain down here, that their passing yards were 1,000 more in their actual than they were in their estimate. Very specific details that stand out. If their turnovers was predicted to be 24 and they ended with 23, that's not a big difference. We can leave that alone. But if you see big differences between estimate and actual, this went way up, this one was way down, whatever it may be, those are things I want you to notice and talk about in this piece. Okay. If you need help with this one, I'm happy to walk around and help with that. I know I didn't explain it very well in this video because I want